So Hulu has decided to bring us another Predator movie. I guess let's try this again. Prey. So Prey is the 7th installment of the Predator franchise, a franchise that brought us one good movie, one so-so movie, and then 4 movies that are absolutely horrible. I liken it to the analogy of going to an amusement park, getting on a ride that you love, and then having like 3 kids puke on it. And you get off the ride and you're covered in puke and you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever done, I'm never coming back here. But then time goes by and you remember, man, I really loved going to the amusement park, I had fun once. So you go again and you get on the ride and it's spinning around and then vomit. And then you swear to yourself again, I'm never going back to this amusement park. But time goes by and you're like, okay, let's try it again. And you get on the ride and then more vomit. And another guy shits himself. And now you're positive, I'm definitely not going ever again. Well, the park's open again and they're inviting us back. And for some strange reason, you still want to go. So Prey takes place in the 1700s, 300 years before Arnold got his first crack at this legendary species. And it stars Amber Midthunder. She plays a Native American woman in a Native American tribe doing Native American things. She's an excellent hunter, tracker, gatherer, and it's not long before she realizes that there's something out here that wants to kill them. A dangerous creature that wants to wipe out everything in its path on its way to becoming the apex predator. So she must use every single one of her skills to figure out how to outwit this monstrous beast, and she must save her tribe before they all end up skulls in the Predator's trophy case. So here's the thing about Predator movies, in particular the Predator sequels. First movie's incredible. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura taking on the Predator, awesome. A bunch of mercenaries out there in the woods taking on the bad guy, not knowing there's a worse guy or girl. I assume the Predator's male, but could be a woman. But there's something out there that's a way bigger badass than they are, and it's hunting them. And it's exciting, and it's suspenseful, and it's a great time. And then they make the second Predator movie, which I happen to like, but that's more because of the age I was when I saw it. It was just cool. It was like one of my first R-rated movies, and there were boobies in it. In fact, I'm pretty sure they were my first boobies. Like the first boobies I saw in a thing. Kids now will never understand first boobies. You couldn't just get on the internet and just see whatever the hell you wanted to see. So that might be one of the reasons why it sticks out for me, but I remember it being the first R-rated movie I'd ever seen, and it was really cool, and it was this alien, and there were these people getting killed and ripping heads off, and as a young adolescent boy, it was like, oh man, this is awesome. Looking back at that movie, it's not great, but it's okay if you're 12. And then they just start getting worse and worse and worse. They started doing crossovers where Alien from the movie Alien and the Predator would fight each other, and they gave us Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem for a Who Gives a Shit. And then they got away from that and they tried to get back to kind of the original thing that made the Predator great, which is just dudes fighting the Predator in a jungle, but on another planet. And they have not done the Predator franchise any justice. And the real reason is, to be honest, is that some franchises don't need more things. In that some franchises didn't need to become franchises. Sometimes there's only 1 or 2 stories to tell. And I'm not going to shit all over Prey. I'm telling you right now, of all the Predator sequels, it's definitely the best one. It's not saying a whole lot because it's a Predator sequel. I feel like the Predator franchise has done very much what a lot of the horror franchises did, like Jason and Freddy and Child's Play. They start off as a very interesting, scary, thrilling, suspenseful film, but then as they go on, it becomes less and less about the story, because really, how much story could you have when your main character, his whole thing is just, I want to kill stuff. Like, that's their goal. That's their arc. Freddy Krueger just wants to kill people. Jason just wants to kill people. The Predator wants to be the apex predator. That's the only reason why he kills stuff. Their whole species is hunters, and their whole goal is just to kill the baddest ass shit and become the #1 guy with the biggest dick in the room. But it doesn't have the name Predator, which I think is very telling. It's as if they knew, they're like, listen, Predator fans are going to see it because they're going to know it's about Predator, but other people that would never watch it because who the hell wants to see another shitty Predator movie, maybe we can fool them by calling it Prey. And then people will be like, oh, what's Prey? And then 20 minutes in, they'll be like, oh, shit, I think this is a Predator movie. And they might be pleasantly surprised if they stumble across it accidentally on Hulu. I mean, they also didn't put it in the theaters. They released it straight to Hulu, which to me also says that we're going, you know what? We're going to put our toe into the Predator pool, one more time, but we're not going theater release. We'll see how people feel if they can just, like, accidentally find it on Hulu. I don't think it's a bad move. It is the best Predator sequel. I like that they brought it back to basics. They took everything from the first Predator movie, and they used that formula to tell the story in this Predator film. It's a few people out there trying to hunt, not knowing that there's something out there hunting them, and then one by one they start going down, and this one person has to take on the beast. Now let's get into Amber Midthunder real quick. A lot of people, when this trailer dropped, were kind of appalled. And the internet started talking a lot of shit about how can some little 110-pound woman take on the Predator. I mean, he gave Arnold a run for his money. What is this chick gonna do? And I kind of thought that too. Like, this is the one that's gonna take down the Predator? Okay. But as you're watching the movie, the way they do it, especially when they finally get to the final big Predator fight, it didn't feel implausible, which I applaud them for. It very much could have. They set up all these things so that when she finally is having that big fight against the Predator, you can really get behind the fact that she's a formidable opponent. I don't want to give anything away, but it plays. She's not as outmatched as we would otherwise think based on her size. You know, she's got smarts, she's got quickness, she's got a plan. So I no longer think the woman as the heroine was a bad idea. I actually think it was a ballsy move, and I think you pulled it off. I also thought it was a good move to bring it back. You know, bring it back 300 years ago. Primitive weapons, primitive hunting, primitive people. Like, the Predator's not like a tricked out, pimp my ride Predator. I mean, he still has space-age weapons, but they're more primitive. They're arrows, not plasma cannons. So it was interesting to see kind of a primitive Predator. Now, something else I got to address, that it kind of takes you out of the movie, but I get why they did it. Just let me explain. They're a Comanche tribe. They're a Native American Comanche tribe. And they all speak perfect English. Now, I understand why they did this, because if they'd have done the movie in subtitles or in Comanche, I'm not sure that people would want to watch that. But the interesting part is there are two versions of this movie. You can watch the English-speaking version on Hulu, or you can watch the same movie dubbed in Comanche. It's like they chose to do it in English, even though it doesn't fit anything. The time period and such, like, there's no way that these people would speak English. It's very jarring. So I get why they didn't do it in Comanche, but it's just interesting to think that they thought, okay, we're going to do this in English, but people are going to be like, this is ridiculous, so we better give them a version in Comanche. That way, at least they see that we saw that this doesn't really fit. It seems less like the movie takes place in the 1700s and more like some Native American people from 2022, you know, left high school and decided, fuck it, we're going to come live out here in the woods as our old people did. Like last week, all these characters were studying for their SATs, but then they decided, you know, screw that, we just want to hunt shit in the woods. Now, the movies, it's, you know, it's a Predator movie. Not a lot happens for a really long time. When the action does get going, it gets fun. But again, I'm grading it on a curve of it being a Predator movie and it being, you know, the best one since the first one. So all in all, I do feel that if you're a Predator fan, clearly you're going to go see Prey and you'll probably have a good time with it. But if you were just a person looking for a good movie to watch this weekend, then I would say that you should watch Prey. Probably never. So, that's my review. You know what to do. Leave me a comment if you'd like to, and if you want to see more things from me, just go to YouTube or TikTok, search ChokeOnFunny. And it stars Amber Midthunder. And it stars Amber Midthunder. She plays a Native American... Amber Midthunder. She plays a Native American woman playing a Native... I can't talk.